more black people get abortions.
Yes. So I looked
Okay,
it up.
why is that, white lady? White lady,
Hey.
why do more black people get abortions? Because abortions are based on what? Lack of access to resources. No, because abortions disproportionately happen to impoverished people. Why are black people more impoverished than white people? Because of white supremacy. So thank you for pointing out that people that have been forced into poverty through systemic racism of the last 200 years are forced to abort their baby more because of the lack of resources to be able to raise a baby, and then you as a white lady use that as your talking point to take the health care away from those same women that are suffering in those same impoverished neighborhoods because you don't want to acknowledge the white supremacy behind it all.
Hey guys, I've been seeing a lot of videos lately where white folks are finally exposing each other after blaming black people for things they didn't even do. Honestly, it's shocking but not surprising. It just shows how quick some people are to point fingers without even checking the truth first. It's sad, but at the same time, I'm glad people are starting to speak up and show what really happened. The truth always comes out, no matter how long it takes. So, let us watch these videos together, and I will come back after to share my thoughts and comment on what we've just seen.
White people, let's talk about it. Let's talk about our violence, white violence. No more deflecting, no more blaming everything on everybody else. Let's confront ourselves. White people in America, our history is so extremely violent. And instead of confronting that, we continue to blame other people for the issues and the problems in this country, instead of just taking ownership of our part to play in everything, which is a huge part. Can we stop scapegoating other groups of people, please, and just look at ourselves? White people, it's time to talk about it. Like, it's long past time. Getting rid of other groups of people in this country is not going to make this country better. It's not going to make your life better. It's not going to make you better. I think white people are so scared to talk about race and to talk about white violence and white supremacy because they don't want to connect themselves to it. We don't want to feel like we're a part of the problem. But unless you're acknowledging the reality of how the US, this country, runs, you are a part of the problem. I truly believe in my heart, in my soul, that if you're born a white person in this country or on this planet, but I'll just speak about this country, part of that journey is to dismantle systems that have been built to oppress other people. The hard work of life is to confront yourself. How do I benefit from the way that things are? And how does my benefiting from those things harm other people? And instead of walking around with, 1,000-pound bag of shame on your back, consider it your responsibility to do that work. Consider it an opportunity that you are in the best possible position to make this world a better place by not accepting racist and prejudiced and oppressive systems for what they are and trying to contribute to changing them. Use the privilege that you have for good. I don't think that anybody can ever really love themselves without being honest about themselves, without being honest with themselves. And that work is painful and hard, but it's so worth it. White people, you don't have to consciously think that you're better than other people in order to contribute to harm against them. All it takes to contribute to harm is to stay silent and disengaged. White people, can we finally get this shit right? Can we finally take accountability? Can we finally look ourselves in the mirror and decide that this isn't good enough? We're not doing a good enough job. You aren't losing because somebody else is safe and cared for. You aren't losing because somebody different than you exists. White people, let's talk about it. Let's start having these conversations with ourselves and with each other. It's time.
White men are the mental health problem in this country. Jim Crow, white men. Slavery, white men. Segregation, white men. Concentration camps for Asian Americans in the late 30s and early 40s. 1,800 people died. How many black people were hung from trees? 8,000. Let me guess. Oh yeah, once again, white men. The gun violence? 98% are men. 84% are white men, U.S. citizens. I see a trend. How about the Middle Passage where 1.2 African Americans died? Oh yeah, once again, white men. Why was the Second Amendment written? Let me think. So black people couldn't have their freedoms. So the white men could once again control them. Who's in the White House? an adjudicated rapist, convicted felon white man. Wow, I see a trend. But somehow Americans are just begging to blame a trans person, a non-white person. See, what happened to George Floyd is symbolic of what's happening in this country. The white man putting his knee on the neck of a non-white person and sitting there in broad daylight with the balls to say, who's going to stop me? And that's what we're seeing right now. So that's the question that we need to ask ourselves as a fucking country. Who's going to stop them? Because I'm just one person here. Now, I don't know about you, but I got friends and family that are sitting behind the white privilege, and I want nothing to do with them. Not because of who they are, because their lack of action. Martin Luther King said, history is going to remember not the people that did bad things, but the good people that stood by and did nothing. Because once again, the white man is hiding behind their privilege while everybody else is getting treated like absolute fucking garbage. Because it doesn't affect me. You don't even want to go on a general strike to stop fascism. Oh, I can't work. Oh, I got a job. White man is the mental health crisis in the United States of America. It has been since day one. When you look at the majority of them, what do you see? A bunch of insecure little wannabe alpha males with small penises that need big trucks and guns to feel like a real man. That's the real problem, is toxic masculinity. That the white man feels unable to shit on everyone's rights just because of how they look. It's ironic, isn't it, that they demonize black people because they're black on the outside, and yet their hearts are black on the inside. Isn't that ironic? And every single time we see a mass shooting, they're just salivating on the white supremacist red hatters to say, oh my gosh, it was an immigrant, it was a trans person, it was a gay people. 84% of gun violence is white men. But when it happens, like at the church the other day, what happens? Oh, thoughts and prayers. But what happened with the racist podcaster? Oh, they were just dying for it to be somebody on the left so they can just blame somebody else. A white man. The Catholic, the church yesterday. A white man, a white man, a white man, a white man, a white man. Ahmaud Arbery. Guess what? 3 white men that chased out a black guy. Breonna Taylor, oh, a white cop, again and again and again and again and again. It's the same demographic. White men are the problem in this fucking country. And until we address the real mental health epidemic, which is white supremacy built on white men controlling people, because that's how this country was designed, for 21-year-old landowning white men to shit on everybody else. This country was designed to benefit my demographic, and that is not okay. That is the original sin of this country. And until we address it, we will never be a great country. And we haven't been a great country. And if you don't like that, then you can ship.
So I see, once again, we've had it put into our face that white folks, we are the problem. We're the problem. We're the problem. Our refusal to honestly deal with our history of hatred, racism, genocide is a problem. Our inability to see where the unhealthiness of our culture is the problem. Our inability to see how racism and Christianity all tied up in together is a problem, is the problem. And the biggest problem is that we do not see we are the problem. God bless everyone. Have a beautiful afternoon.
My question is for white people. And I am a white person, so I feel like I'm allowed to ask this, but not only am I allowed, I feel like it definitely needs to be discussed. And my question is this. What have we done as a race, as a group of people, to make anybody else like us? Why should anybody else like us? Because everything that we have done as a group of people has been to tear somebody else down and make sure that we are at the top, as if race is like a tier system. If you look far enough back at anything in this country, it's probably going to be rooted in racism, which is something that I have been learning a lot about lately. And it just begs me to wonder, why do we think as a race that we are automatically deserve so much respect? For what? What have we done to deserve that? Yeah, that's my question. And I think the answer is genuinely nothing.
I've had it with white people that triple trumped.
Yeah.
That have the nerve and the audacity to walk into a Mexican restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant. I really genuinely believe that if you triple trumped, then you are all about preserving the lack of culture in white America that has led us to where people go and Bible thump with their AR-15s. Like, that's the only thing that I see when you get all white people together in the United States. There's no culture at all. So they have to go borrow culture from people. Even the word woke, they've borrowed from Black culture. I don't think you should be able to enjoy anything but Cracker Barrel. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel. Quit watching NBA basketball. Quit watching sports that are dominated by African Americans. Quit going to Mexican restaurants. You want white culture, you go fucking live in it. But do not participate in any of the shit that makes America cool. And what makes America cool is multiculturalism. And if you want to triple Trump, and you want to browbeat DEI, and you want to browbeat gay people, and you want to browbeat Black people, as you've been doing for 400 years, and you want to browbeat this generation of immigrants that come over here and open up businesses earnestly, pay their taxes, you want to demonize them and call them rapists and felons and all this shit, when the felon is the teeny weeny mushroom cock piece of shit, Kankles McTaco tits at the top of the ticket. I have fucking had it from top to bottom. White people that triple Trump should be banned, boycotted from enjoying the best thing that America has to offer, which is multiculturalism. Get your fat asses out of the Mexican restaurant. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel, because nobody wants to see your fucking smug ass, teeny weeny, pink arm, big gut around. Nobody wants to see that shit.
Say about whiteness before this app goes kaput, specific to white people in America, which is kind of me. There are these conversations we have about imposter syndrome, you know, like, I have imposter syndrome, I have imposter syndrome. And for a white person, the reason that you and I have imposter syndrome is because we are imposters. To be born white in America is to be born a settler. Even if we don't own land, the cultural implications of colonization and the power structure means that we have a settler psyche. That's how our brain works. That's how we think. That's how we go. And the entirety of the sense of self in whiteness for white people is a fabrication. It is a lie. It is pretenders. We are imposters. That's why we have imposter syndrome, because we are imposters. Why do you think white people, especially white men, me, why do you think we're so fragile? Why do you think we can't handle conflict? Why do you think we run away all the time? Why do you think it's because we have a fragile sense of self, a fragile ego, and we're fragile because we are trying to keep up this charade of being superior, which is a fucking lie. The irony of a superiority complex is a deep sense of misery and fragility that makes life not enjoyable, because we are actually living counter to what is true to humanity, which is that we are all the same fucking species, meaning we are all equal, we are all worthy and valuable to the same fucking degree. But because we have so distorted that, because of our ancestors have so distorted that, maybe I should point down, they're certainly not going there. Because of that distortion, we are born in this psychological framework where we have this really fragile sense of self, and we're just trying to keep up with the Jones, keep up the fucking charade, and we don't do the fucking work internally to actually figure out how to root and ground ourselves in some sort of values, to respect the humanity of others, to respect the humanity of ourselves. And so we just pretend, and then we feel terrible. I'm an imposter. They're going to find out, and then I'm a fraud. Well, you're a fucking fraud, and so am I, because we're fucking white Americans. Now, this is a little bit different for men and women. There is an imposter syndrome that exists under patriarchy for women that I'll never understand. And so I'm just speaking to the white portion of this. But if you are white, even if you're a woman, it's a little bit different, obviously. But like white people in general, we are fucking imposters, man. And we gotta confront that and look at it dead in the mirror, because do we want to be fragile forever? Do we just want to like not be able to deal and handle conflict forever? Do we want to do this bullshit right to comfort forever? And I'm looking myself in the mirror right now. This is what I realized this whole last year. I am a fraud. I am a fake. I am a pretender. That's who I have been. That's not who I need to continue to be. There's a better world. There's a better life. There's better relationships. But the longer we run away from this shit, the longer we fucking hide, where are we going to get? We're never going to be good community members. We're never going to be able to practice actual revolutionary values. We're just going to keep in the same fucking bullshit, distant, non-intimate, fake, imposter shit. We have imposter syndrome because we are imposters.
This might be a hot take, but there's a huge difference between being not racist and anti-racist. Growing up as a white person, I was not racist. I didn't say the N-word, but I also was terrified to participate in any sort of discussion about race. I sort of just stayed out of it, right? I was like, this isn't a problem I contribute to, but it's also not going to be a problem that I help put an end to, I guess. Then I went to college at Brown, and that's where I learned that not being racist is in its own way contributing to racism. Because if you are too scared as a white person to call out the racism of other people or to critically examine your own biases, especially your implicit ones, that is still a contributing factor to the problem. And that's why I now make the content that I do, because I'm thinking back to all of these things that I heard as a child, and I'm seeing my entire life in a new light. Like, wow, this family was quite racist, this friend was racist, all these things that the people I went to high school with that they did, sort of critically examining it as well as my own biases. So if you are someone who continues to insist that you're not racist, you're probably contributing to the problem.
You know, watching all that just reminds me how powerful honesty really is. For so long, people have been wrongly blamed or judged just because of their skin color, and that's not okay. It's good to see some folks finally taking responsibility and calling out the lies, even when it's uncomfortable. At the end of the day, we all need to do better. Stop jumping to conclusion, stop spreading hate, and start standing for what's right. If you see something wrong, speak up. Don't stay quiet, because silence only helps the problem grow. I truly hope one day we'll get to a point where people are judged by truth, not by stereotypes. Until then, let's keep talking, keep learning, and keep holding people accountable. Thank you so much for watching, and if you believe in truth and fairness like I do, please hit the subscribe button, give this video a like,